Raskolnikov's room was scarcely large enough to turn around in, yet it contained an entire universe of thought. The ceiling hung low, stained with age. The walls leaned inward, as though they had been listening to him for years and were now tired of pretending otherwise. This room did not comfort him, it examined him. He spent long hours lying still, staring upward, thinking not about hunger or rent or the world outside, but about ideas. Dangerous ideas. Ideas that did not ask permission. He believed that humanity was divided. Not equally, never equally. There were those who lived obediently, carefully stepping around rules made by others. And then there were those rare individuals who created history by daring to step beyond morality. The ordinary existed to maintain order. The extraordinary existed to disrupt it. And disruption, he believed, was not evil, it was necessary. The thought intoxicated him. It gave his misery dignity. It transformed his poverty into proof that he was meant for something greater. Yet beneath this confidence lay something else. A trembling uncertainty he refused to name. Because if his theory was wrong, then everything he was about to do would be unforgivable. The city felt unreal that day, as though it had been sketched rather than built. Raskolnikov moved through it without fully inhabiting his body. His steps were precise, rehearsed. He had imagined this walk many times before, imagined it ending differently each time. The staircase was narrow, the air stale. Each step creaked, yet the sound felt distant, as if it belonged to someone else. When the door finally opened, there was no thunder, no dramatic pause, only action. The moment was chaotic, disordered, nothing like the cold logic he had prepared. There was fear. There was resistance. There was blood, heavier and darker than he had imagined. And then it was done. He fled, breathless, heart racing, not with triumph, but with disbelief. The world did not acknowledge what had happened. The sky remained the same. The streets continued their rhythm. Only he carried the knowledge. After the crime, his mind refused to obey him. Thoughts no longer followed one another. They collided. His body shook without instruction. Sounds arrived too sharply, light too brightly. He replayed the moment again and again, not to understand it, but because his mind would not release it. Had he been seen? Had he left something behind? Had someone heard? Every knock, every footstep, every whisper felt aimed directly at him. The theory that had once seemed unshakable now felt thin, almost childish. He had crossed the line to prove his strength, and now he could not even control his own fear. Raskolnikov began to avoid people. Faces disturbed him. Voices irritated him. Even kindness felt intrusive, as though it were trying to uncover something he could not afford to reveal. He walked among crowds but felt separate from them, divided by an invisible barrier. Laughter sounded artificial, conversations meaningless. He watched life continue without him, and felt both relief and resentment. No one knew, and yet everyone seemed to know. This contradiction gnawed at him relentlessly. He was no longer part of humanity. He was its exception or its outcast. He could no longer tell which. Guilt did not arrive dramatically. It seeped in quietly, settling into his thoughts, his movements, his dreams. He tried to reason with it, to remind himself of his theory, of the greater good, of historical necessity. But guilt did not respond to logic. It responded to silence. At night, his thoughts turned inward, circling the same questions without resolution. During the day, his body weakened, as though carrying a weight no one else could see. He had imagined punishment as something external: bars, chains, judgment. Instead, it lived inside him, reshaping his mind from within. The crime had ended. The punishment had only begun. The investigator did not accuse him. This was what frightened Raskolnikov most. Porfiry spoke calmly, almost casually, asking questions that appeared innocent but landed with surgical precision. He discussed theories. He spoke of psychology. He hinted without pointing. Raskolnikov felt as though his thoughts were being slowly exposed, layer by layer. The danger was not arrest. The danger was understanding. Porfiry did not need evidence. He needed time. And time, Raskolnikov knew, was something his conscience would not survive. Sonia's presence unsettled him more than suspicion ever could. She had suffered, deeply unfairly, yet she did not shield herself with ideas. She did not justify her pain by claiming superiority. She accepted suffering not as proof of greatness, but as a reality of being human. When she listened to him, she did not admire his intellect. She saw his torment, and in her quiet compassion, Raskolnikov felt something crack. Because her forgiveness demanded something he was not prepared to give. Truth, confession haunted him, not as an act but as a possibility. To confess would mean surrendering his theory, his pride, his belief in his own exceptionality. It would mean admitting that he was not extraordinary, only deeply flawed. Yet the silence grew heavier each day. He realized that freedom was impossible while carrying a lie, and that pride had become a prison far more suffocating than any cell. The crime demanded acknowledgement, and conscience demanded humility. When the confession finally came, it was not dramatic. There was no speech, no grand moment of clarity. Only exhaustion. The weight he had carried for so long loosened its grip, not because he was absolved, but because he had stopped pretending. The world did not end. People did not react as he had imagined. Life continued, indifferent, steady, unchanged, and for the first time since the crime, he felt real within it. Punishment followed, but it no longer terrified him. The true punishment had already passed. The long, silent war within himself. In suffering openly, without justification or theory, Raskolnikov began to change. Slowly, painfully, incompletely. Redemption did not arrive as forgiveness. It arrived as responsibility. And in accepting that responsibility, something new emerged. Not innocence, not greatness, but humility. And humility, he learned, was the beginning of humanity.